Hi everyone, this is Nishant. From today onwards, we will start a new JavaScript interview series, and first of all, we will cover array methods. So for today, we will learn about forEach and map methods. So if you are from a different programming background, you must have used for loops, while loops, or do while loops. So in JavaScript, those actually exist, but instead of those, we also have a higher order functions like forEach and map. So if we want to traverse an array, we use forEach, and the syntax is quite easy. Suppose if you have an array with these values, I put a variable name arr, so the syntax is same, just array dot forEach. So let me write it forEach, then a parenthesis, again a parenthesis, then an arrow, and then a curly braces. This is the syntax of forEach. Basically we are using an arrow function here. So forEach doesn't return anything. These parentheses contain three values. First one, these values can be anything, like you can name it anything, but these values contain like suppose the first value is num, second is index, and third one is arr. So the first one, num, contains the array values. So whatever the loop is, that value will be num. So suppose it is the first loop, then num will contain 3, and if it is second loop, then num will contain 4. If it is third loop, then num will contain 5. And as the index, whatever the index of that num will be in the index field, and in the array which we are traversing will be an array. So now it is easy. You just have to console the values. Console.log num. So you can see the numbers will be printed as it is traversed. Now if you try to print index, the index of those numbers will be printed, and if you try to print array, it will contain the same array which we are traversing. So every time this will be same, as you can see. And forEach doesn't return anything, so even though if you try to return it, return num, you won't get anything. Let's store this value in a result variable. Result. Let's try to console the result. Console log result. You will get undefined because forEach doesn't return anything. So this point should be noted because it is a very important point, and the conclusion of this point is as forEach doesn't return anything, we can't chain anything in forEach. So suppose if you don't have any value, of course you won't be able to use that value, right? So forEach doesn't return anything, you won't get any value out of the forEach. Inside it you can use that value, inside it you can console it, you can perform any operation, but outside the forEach you won't get anything. And the major difference between forEach and map is this point. So let's learn about map as well, so we can differentiate between forEach and map. So for like forEach, map is quite similar. It can be used to traverse an array, but map returns something, and that something is a new array. So whatever operations you perform, that will be stored in an array, and that array will be returned. It won't change our current array. So suppose our current array is arr, and if we try to multiply those values by 2, then the new array will come up with every value multiplied by 2. Our current arr won't be changed. Let's look at in console const. I will again create a new variable called result, or let's say res. Then arr.map, syntax is same, array.map, then a parenthesis, then again a parenthesis, then arrow, then a curly braces. Now just return the value, return, and yes, of course this parenthesis will again contain those three values, num, index, and arr, and we don't need index and arr for now, so we will keep the num for now. Let's return the num, and let's console.log the res. Console.log res. Let's try to print it. See, you will get the same array because I'm returning the same numbers. So what if I try to print multiply it by 2? These all values will be multiplied by 2 and it will be returned. Okay, so see, these conditions like multiply by 2 will be applied in every numbers in that array, and it will be stored in a new array, and that array will be returned. So what is the conclusion? The conclusion is map returns something, and that something is a new array, and if we are getting some values, we can perform some other actions on those values as well. I mean, if we have a new array, I can perform a forEach on that, or filter, or find any method which I want, I can perform on that array. Even I can slice that array. So what I'm saying is chaining is possible in map because map returns something. These two are the major difference between forEach and map. First, the map returns a new array, forEach doesn't return anything. Chaining is not possible in forEach because it doesn't return anything. You don't have any value to chain. But in map we can chaining is possible in map because map returns something, some value, some data, and on that data we can perform another actions. So chaining is possible. These two are the major differences between forEach and map. Generally interviews ask these questions ki what is the difference between forEach and map. These two are the major differences which you should focus on. Others are also there. If you want to try to look it, you can Google it. So hope you understand this topic. Thank you and bye bye.